There was one example in one of the companies I used to work for where we had a very high turnover of Saudis. They were more in the operator level, and my recruitment team was sweating, trying to keep up with the pace of the turnover happening, people resigning and hiring more people, and they're trying to maintain a certain number. We were also at the edge of being a platinum level. We were in the high green at that time. So I was asking them, why are you, what is going on? They said, well, we hire the people, they work for some time and then they leave. Why do they leave? We don't know. They find better jobs, let's raise their salaries. So they raised their salaries before I joined. So when I came in, I said, okay, didn't you raise the salaries? Did it work? They said, no. I said, okay. Then we didn't find the root cause. So we did some root cause analysis. We did some focus groups, and we interviewed every single Saudi operator that left. And I found out, me and the team, that the root cause wasn't the salaries, it was value added work.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Human Capital Uncovered. This is our weekly podcast, a chat with Haifa. I'm your host, Haifa Abu Zabiba, and today we'll be diving deep in the world of human capital with a well-renowned expert in the field. I'm thrilled to welcome Mr. Ahmed Mahmoud Khan, who is the Group Chief Human Resources Officer of Tanmiah Food Company, with an impressive career spanning over 21 years. Ahmed is a versatile Saudi executive with expertise in human capital, FMCG, operations planning, and quality assurance. His professional journey includes leadership roles and significant contributions in both the public private sector, including companies like Bupa, Procter & Gamble, and Savola, and also the Ministry of Culture. He's demonstrated expertise in culture and engagement, productivity, talent acquisition, and policy development. And more recently, he was recognized for his passionate leadership in HR by earning a well-deserved place in the prestigious CHRO 50 magazine. So sit back, tune in to explore Ahmed's remarkable journey, insights, and impactful contributions to the field of human capital and beyond. Welcome, Ahmed.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So, Ahmed, tell us about who you are and what was it in the early years that led you to be at the success you are today?
All right. I was born and raised in the United States. I grew up there. I spent around 15 years in the States in total. My dad was doing his master and PhD degree. We went back to Saudi Arabia, but we lived in a different city. We lived in the Eastern Province. He used to be teaching as a professor at the KFUPM University, and then we moved to Jeddah. So actually, I lived in like 4 or 5 cities, and I think that is one of the main things that helped me cultivate my personality. Being the eldest son also put a lot of responsibilities on my shoulders in early ages and early years. My dad was always traveling and busy, and I had to be the man of the house. So I think my diversity in the different cities I've lived in has helped me cultivate this personality that I have that helped me become a CHRO today.
That's amazing. And can you provide an overview of your role as a CHRO and the key responsibilities you have in your organization?
Yeah, sure. As a CHRO, of course, I'm responsible for developing and executing the strategy, the HR strategy for the organization. At Tanmiah Food Company, we are a group of companies that are in the food business or the poultry business. We have a company that's a fast food company. We have veterinary services, and we have 2 other companies that deal with the poultry, the farms, and the added value products. So it's quite diverse. We have more than 5,000 employees, and it's a big responsibility to make sure that we take care of our colleagues. We call them colleagues in our company. We have lots of blue collars, we have white collars, and we have various locations. And because of the farms are located across the kingdom, and we also have existence in the GCC and in the United Arab Emirates. So it's quite a challenge to make sure that you are very well connected and all your colleagues are connected in terms of communication from and to. So you need to be very well connected in terms of how you talk to them, how you listen to them, how they can have their voice heard in terms of either visits or various channels of communication. So when I joined, we made sure that we diversified the channels of communication that we have, instead of just emails or just sending letters and all that stuff. We had to make rotational visits where we meet the colleagues face to face. We listen to them, even if there's nothing, no news to share, just to have a session to just open up and visit them and take a tour and feel the leadership presence in the location. And that is a very important point. Other than the normal human capital responsibilities that in terms of all the areas of recruitment or development of strategy and all the other operations, HR operations, specifically in Tanmiah, the challenge is that because we are a very fast growing company, and we have also been enlisted in the Tadawul, we went through an IPO 2 years ago, and we are expanding very rapidly in terms of our production, our capacity, and we've also signed partnerships with international companies, for example, Tyson Foods. So the growth rate is very challenging, and it's a very challenging role to be in at this time specifically to keep up with the pace that we are growing with.
Very true. And I think this is a huge challenge for HR and human capital is when you have a company that is growing, how does this impact all the HR services that are being offered?
In today's life, the growth is very fast. It's almost going exponential in some areas, especially like in technology and in other areas. So we have to keep up with the pace. And that's one of the major challenges that we have. So to make sure that we can keep up with the challenges, change is inevitable. And you have to be agile enough to change and change fast, because your competitors won't wait for you. If you don't keep up with the game, you're already behind. So that's the main challenges that we have in terms of hiring the best, keeping them, maintaining our colleagues, and making sure that they're motivated and they stay for long times, because we invest a lot in their technical skills and developing the colleagues for the growth and the needs of the company, and we have no intention of losing any of these investments to other competitors and to other companies as well, because we really cherish our asset, our greatest asset, which is our colleagues. Today we are what we are because of our colleagues. Tanmiah is a 62-year-old company, and believe me, if you ask any of our colleagues what is the secret ingredient of Tanmiah, they will tell you it's our people or our colleagues.
Very true. How do you ensure that the human capital strategies align with the overall business goals of the organization?
That is very important. And in my opinion, the HR strategy and the business strategy are inseparable. They have to go hand in hand. The business strategy, of course, is the one that puts the direction forward and what we need to deliver to survive and to be competitive and to reach our target goals. And our strategy goes up to 2030, which we have refreshed recently. Alhamdulillah, in the last year, we had to refresh it because we had our strategy initially till 2027. And we achieved so many results faster than we expected. So we had to do a refresh. So now we have extended it to 2030. And where HR strategy falls into is as an enabler to develop that and to enable, as a human capital department or division, all our colleagues. Because if we take care of our colleagues, they will take care of the business. And that's how the business grows and prospers. It's not that we take care of the business, no. Some other departments or divisions are the ones who take care of the business, like the sales or the operations, they have the technical know-hows. But for us, the secret ingredient that human capital provides for the company is that we take care of those that take care of the business.
Very true. What are the biggest challenges that you face as a CHRO in Saudi Arabia, and how do you navigate them?
That's a very interesting question. CHROs face challenges all the time, every day, and I think that's the name of the game. We wake up every day to a new challenge. But if you talk about the challenges that we faced here in Saudi Arabia, CHROs normally face challenges that sometimes you need to balance between being a good cop or bad cop, and sometimes there are some challenges that are strategic challenges that have to be achieved, but not necessarily aligned with the business strategies, and that's where sometimes you get a challenge of striking a balance. So, for instance, let me pick one. Like a long time ago, the HR was known as an administration, just an admin, that they do work, they do payroll, they do some processing, but they're not really adding value to the business. Today, on the contrary, HR is considered as a major business partner, and that's the only way forward. This is an advice to any HR person who joins a new company. The first thing you should do is not ask about the HR systems and how they work, because that's easy to fix and easy to assess. The first thing you should understand as an HR newcomer to any organization is the core business. You have to understand what the core business is, how it operates, and what are the challenges and what kind of support is needed. Then you can start learning about your department, because in doing that, that is a major transformation that happened over the previous years in HR in Saudi Arabia versus today. Today, we have a ministry called Ministry of HR. It used to be called the Ministry of Labor. But the transformation happened even at the ministry level, and that cascaded also to all the organizations as well. That's one. Another one of the challenges is that normally HR, we face challenges in like Saudization. The ministry has put a lot of support and programs that including some incentives to help aid in the Saudization. However, the main challenge that CHROs face is proving to everyone and to the society and to the organizations that the young Saudis do have talent, and they can also be even as competitive, if not even more, than the expats. In the previous times, I remember when I first joined the workforce during my early years of my career, it was always known that the Saudis were on the lower tier, lower grades, fresh grads, but the expats were in the senior levels and the executive levels because they had the know-how. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think today, alhamdulillah, after putting the right direction and the right strategy, we have so many Saudi talents that have reached various executive and senior roles throughout the organization, public and private, that I am personally, and I'm sure all of us are proud of.
Yes, definitely. It's great to see the diverse talents that are in organizations, because every ethnicity offers a different take on what needs to be done in the organization and how to address customer challenges, etc. So it's good to have diversity in the companies. With that, what role does diversity, equity, and inclusion play in your HR strategy, and how do you promote a diverse and inclusive workplace culture?
Okay, diversity and inclusion is a very key factor of a key ingredient for the success of any organization. Whether you have diversity, there are so many, let's say, dimensions of diversity that you need to address. The main ones are known as like the nationalities, gender diversity, but there's much more deeper dimensions than those two. For instance, today maybe we expand the horizon of diversity into age diversity, generation diversity. So you have people from Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, and millennials. Believe it or not, all these diversities plot a different map of success into the organization, different ideas, different backgrounds, frames of reference. Each and every individual or colleague in our organization brings his or her own experience, where they worked, where they've been brought, where they've been, where they've traveled, into one organization. If you calculate or sum all the years of experience and all the expertise in one room, in any of our business meetings, it would be something that someone is really proud of. And that really plays a big effect on the result that we see, the decisions we take, and how they're taken. It does create some sort of conflict sometimes, but that's a healthy conflict that I see, because having different perspectives and different ideas and different challenges between our colleagues is the healthy way to go. Because if I say something and everybody agrees with me, then what's the point of having all of us in the room?
Very true, and especially now with innovation, where you really need to have, the more diversity you have, the more companies are able to improve in innovation and innovative ideas and create more revenue. Can you share share any success stories or examples of HR initiatives that have significant impact on employee engagement?
Sure. For employee engagement, there are many initiatives that I can mention. I just like to mention a few here. There was one example in one of the companies I used to work for where we had a very high turnover of Saudis. They were more in the operator level, and my recruitment team was sweating, trying to keep up with the pace of the turnover happening, people resigning and hiring more people, and they're trying to maintain a certain number. We were also at the edge of being a platinum level. We were in the high green at that time. So I was asking them, why are you, what is going on? They said, well, we hire the people, they work for some time and then they leave. Why do they leave? We don't know. They find better jobs, let's raise their salaries. So they raised their salaries before I joined. So when I came in, I said, okay, didn't you raise the salaries? Did it work? They said, no. I said, okay. Then we didn't find the root cause. So we did some root cause analysis. We did some focus groups, and we interviewed every single Saudi operator that left. And I found out, me and the team, that the root cause wasn't the salaries, it was value added work. And this is a very important thing that I urge all organizations to focus on. Employees are engaged at their most when every single contributor or colleague is delivering value-added work, and he or she knows exactly what their work effect is on delivering the big picture or the big goal, the biggest goal. Once that connection happens, magic happens, and the engagement goes to the maximum. Of course, we can discuss so many other actions that increase engagement. You want to do benchmarking on the salaries. You want to make sure you're paying competitively. Those are all important. I'm not saying that those aren't. They are, and they are very important. But there are so many other things that are important as well. However, having a very clear connection between your value that you add as an individual to the business is the main area of engagement that you can get on. So what happened is, just to close the story, we found out that the operators are saying that they don't teach us anything. They just stay aside and they try to teach us very slowly. And then when the breakdown happens, we try to jump in to fix it. They say, no, we're on the clock, stay away, let me fix it. and they let someone else fix it, and they just stand there. So what we did was we developed a training plan for new hires, like for 3 months, where we brought in all the spare parts that we used to throw away. We dissected them into halves. We made a display in a small training room that was just used as a warehouse for storage. We made like a display for each of the major spare parts, dissected it and opened it. And I asked all the best experts in each department to develop a training material into slides. And we developed a training. So in that program, though, for those 3 months, each operator comes in a batch, and the batch takes a mix between on-the-job training on the floor or a classroom training, looking at the equipment, seeing how the bearing looks, how the shaft looks from the middle. I'm kind of confused, by the way. That's why, maybe. And how how you set it up, and how all these things from the slides. And then they go like 1 week here, 1 week there, alternatively. And it was an amazing turnover in the attrition went down, the Saudization went up, and we even hit platinum, and we stayed platinum for a long time until I moved to another organization after that.
That's an amazing story of really listening to the colleagues and identifying the root cause of, why they have such a high turnover rate, and then actually creating a solution that helps address the challenge. So, how do you leverage technology and data analytics in your HR practices to drive better decision making?
Today, in the world we live in, technology is the name of the game, and what's change is the only thing that's constant. And with the pace of technology that's happening, it's really, it really scares some people. If you don't keep up with everything new, you're already behind. And you can't just assume that I know all the devices and what software is available in the market, because tomorrow something new will show up. So we even started seeing not only HR symposiums, we started seeing HR tech summits, where the technology and HR come together and show what are the best or newest solutions in the market. That's something that I think every individual, especially HR, needs to keep up with. Technology colleagues, our colleagues in the technology department also have their own challenges, but I'm talking about HR specifically. The enablers, the tools that today are available that enable HR are growing, and they're growing so fast. So for instance, we used to always depend on ERP to have the data, and then looking at the transactional transactions that we need to do, we can also automate and bring into ERP, and that's the norm. That's the minimum expectations. Today, the ERP even extends into the applications or in your mobile phone. So you don't even have to log into your PC. You can just open your mobile phone and apply for a vacation, or approve something for a purchase order or something. Data analysis, AI today, robotics, doing the repetitive jobs that take hours and hours of manual work can be done, but as long as it's programmable and with a certain logic, can be. So robotics, AI, data analytics, ERP, all those tools are enablers for me to HR to be able to do much better jobs, much faster, much accurate. So keeping up with those is very key. And then comes the mastery part. So what if you have all of that? What do you do with it? So you need to extract that data, because data only gives you the numbers. But what you do with the numbers is you do the analysis, and then you do the actions accordingly. So if you develop that cycle of plan, do, check, and act, and then like the arrow has to go back to the plan. Whenever there's something wrong, you go back to the plan to visit it, and then you act on it. That cycle, once it's kicked off, that's how the business can strive forward.
Yes, definitely. And you answered a little bit from the question, but I like to ask it because this is my favorite question in the podcast. As we have many aspiring HR professionals, what advice and tips would you give them in order for them to accelerate their success journey?
Okay, I wish I got this advice a long time ago, but I will give it to my colleagues. I remember when I first started my career in HR, one of the trainers told me something that's always rings a bell in my ear. He used to say, first of all, he gave me two pieces of advice, which I'll convey. The first one is never plan your whole day, and make sure and believe that someday you will have a day that even that small portion that you planned, you'll do nothing of because you're in HR. So you need to be ready for that. But the key is to prioritize here. So prioritization is key, and managing your time is key. But the advice that I would give as Ahmed for my fellow colleagues and the people who are aspiring to grow their career in HR is there are some certain tools that are available today, or some competencies that any HR person has to possess in order to become a successful HR individual. So the first one is emotional intelligence. I think emotional intelligence is so important today, for all senior leaders, but especially in HR. And there are certain trainings that someone can apply for to improve his or her EQ. The way you assess your EQ in terms of yourself, your EQ towards your team and others is very key for an HR person. Second thing is looking at you always in HR faced with taking decisions between policy, between regulation, between let me help this person or let me help this colleague. We want to help him or her, but you have constraints. So we always face this dilemma. So two pieces of advice to help you in this area. First thing is always what I call use principle-based decision making. Look at the big principle. What is the main principle? Don't look at the policy itself only. Look at the principle. What is the principle behind doing this action? Are we trying to help the colleague? Are we trying to prevent a regulation violation? So once you reach to that level of principle, then you go back down to the decision. It makes it much easier for you. And even when there is a conflict resolution between different ideas or opinions between, let's say, leaders, the boss says something, the HR says something else, the CEO something else. The only thing, as an HR, as a moderator, because we have to do this by nature, to moderate and make sure we have a concise decision, is to look at the main principle. That's one thing, one element of the principle-based decision making. So after the principle-based decision making, the second one is learning the difference and mastering the difference between empathy and sympathy. Because as an HR, you have to have empathy, but you shouldn't have sympathy. And I'm sure there's so many definitions and ways to distinguish between the two, but my advice is to make sure that you have empathy, and that will also add to the mix.
That's great. Thank you very much for that very valuable insight and advice. And that wraps up our enlightening conversation with Mr. Ahmed Khan on uncovering human capital. We explored the depths of human capital, engagement, diversity, and general tips on how to accelerate journey to success in the HR field. Remember, the greatest asset we have in businesses is not the service or products, but the people. And thank you for joining us today. We look forward to bringing you another insightful discussion in next week. And until then, please keep uncovering the potential in your human capital. Thank you.